Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Was a Genius with Kyuubi Powers, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Hokage Tower was a mess. The secretary was unconscious. The halls were littered with paper, dropped by workers who didn't watch where they were going. The teams that were there for missions, reporting or accepting, were shocked into a stupor, and the Anbu guards could barely stand on their own 2 feet. The old man's pipe had clattered to the floor, and the Godime Hokage's sake battle accompanied it. "Oh man, someone beat me to it," Naruto said as he came in, noticing Tsunade sitting in the Hokage's chair. "Oh well, position for the 6th is still open, right?" Naruto asked the aging man. Tsunade turned to Sarutobi. "This is this, Naruto." Sarutobi nodded. "I think so anyway. I was going to say he looks like his dad." "Yeah, me and my old man are pretty alike, there's only one difference," Naruto said. "I'm better." "And you're humble too," Hinata mumbled, jokingly. "I heard that. You were supposed to." "Alright, enough. No picking on each other until we get to the house," Kyuubi said. "Speaking of which, is the Namikaze estate ready to receive us?" "Almost. We couldn't get into your father's mansion because we were in need of your blood," Sarutobi said. "Okay, we'll take care of that when we get there, but I have a couple of things to do first, one of which is to report my last 4-year mission. Let me begin by saying, it was a complete success." Naruto continued on to say how Hinata has changed and so on, how much stronger she is, the new jutsus and taijutsus she has learned, among other things. Sandaime smiled the whole way through. "See, Tsunade, I told you he'd make a good teacher." Naruto's mind, hearing the name for the first time, finally recognized the woman. "So that's the legendary Sasuke, huh? This just might work." Naruto smiled. "Secondly, I have a complaint." Immediately, everyone's undivided attention was on the blonde. "Due to Hinata's new growth, and my mask's destruction, I feel that my remaining in Team 7 is only a waste in my time and SK. I also feel the same about Hinata in Team 8. Don't get me wrong, our experience in both teams was vital to our growth, but to better use our abilities, I believe we should form a new team." "And why do you believe that a new team would be beneficial to Konoha?" Tsunade asked. "Because without me on Team 7, it would allow Sasuke and Sakura more time to grow, allowing for him to become more powerful before attempting to kill his brother. Also, as Hinata's sensei for the past 4 years, I know her tactics and strengths, something that would take Team 8 a while to discover, and thus it would be a waste of time and manpower. As if that's not enough, it's no secret that myself and the Uchiha don't get along." Tsunade looked impressed. "Those certainly were good reasons, but the teams were the teams. You have some good reasons, I'll admit, but I'm not going to change the teams." Naruto looked at her, a devious grin on his face. "Then how about a bet?" Tsunade both hated and loved those words. The look on her face was one of inner conflict as she tried to pry the dice out of the hands of her inner gambler. "What do you have to wager against me, the Hokage?" she asked, trying to discourage herself from taking the bait. "How does a list of all the jutsus I've made sound? I'll even add a nice retirement home in the Namikaze estate for you." Sandaime's eyes went wide. That was something he'd pay for, a home in the nicest place in Konoha. To live there until the end of his days, that was heaven. Tsunade's inner gambler had already thrown the dice. "What's the challenge?" Naruto smiled. 3 Chunin, 6 Junin, against me, Hinata, and Kyuubi in his human form. Tsunade looked at the 3 of them, 3 of their best Chunin and 6 of their best Junin. "There's no way these could survive. You're on." Naruto looked the Junin over. All of them were familiar faces: Kakashi, Guy, Asuma, Anko, Ebisu, and Kurenai. The Chunin were completely new to him, but that didn't matter. Naruto then checked the environment: a lake nearby, a large open field, with trees surrounding the field and the lake. "Looks like we're going to get our fight, Kakashi," Naruto said. Kakashi gave an eye smile and pulled out a kunai. "Looks like it, Naruto." "Kyuubi, listen good. When you see Hinata, tell her we each get 2 Junin, and 1 Chunin, I get Kakashi, Guy, and the short Chunin with red hair. You get Anko, Asuma, and the big guy. Hinata will get Ebisu, Kurenai, and the Hyuga Chunin. Gotcha, Kit. I'll tell her as soon as she gets back from changing. The redhead Chunin was pacing back and forth. What on earth are we waiting for? My girlfriend to change, she doesn't want her kimono getting dirty. Naruto answered him. Like that's all she has to worry about. The Chunin chuckled. Naruto was tempted to say that it was all she had to worry about but decided against it. No need to get the guy riled up. A familiar scent wafted under his nose. And here she comes, Naruto said. Kurenai's jaw dropped to the floor. Hinata had ditched the kimono for Anbu-like battle gear. She had iron-plated gloves that went up to her elbows, a dark blue flak jacket, not a Chunin one, because she had to be re-ranked, but that would change after the fight. She wore black pants and a blue jacket, not as large as she wore during her genin years. In fact, this one was nothing like that jacket. It was more like Naruto's coat than a jacket. Underneath her jacket she wore a black fishnet shirt. Have I told you how beautiful you look in that? Naruto asked his girlfriend. Only 50 times. Hinata answered. Well, make it 51. Okay, lovebirds. Pay attention, we've got a bet to win. Kyuubi told the two. You're not worried, are you, Q? Me. Worried. Ha. In another life, maybe. Good. We don't need you turning tail. Hey honey. Hinata asked, how are we going to take them? 3 fears techniques. Naruto replied, and if they come back then we can practice taijutsu. Okay then, we'll do. Are you ready to begin? Tsunade asked. I was born ready. Naruto yelled. Begin. Kyuubi ran to take his 3. His opponents didn't disappoint. They began throwing everything they had. Kaiten, Hosenka no Jutsu. Kaiten, Karu Enden, Senejashu. 6 fireballs and a flame dragon flew toward the Biju, which he expertly dodged, all the while avoiding the crazy snake mistress who had 2 snakes hissing at him from her sleeves. Once the fireballs flew past him, Kyuubi began a series of hand signs, fear of the forest technique, 9-tailed fear no jutsu. Suddenly 9 foxtails appeared on Kyuubi's back. They slowly started spinning, growing longer and longer until they went as far as 3 meters. Kyuubi slowly moved to the closest opponent, the Chunin. Said Chunin suddenly found himself spinning at high speeds as he was caught up by one of the tails. Kyuubi then jumped the 2 Junin. They too were caught up in the whirlwind of tails. The tails kept spinning, slowly rising in the air until all 9 tails were pointing straight up. Then the tails dived into the earth, leaving only 3 heads above the ground. Suddenly 3 kunai hit the ground in front of them. Each one had a tag tied to it. The 3 heads' eyes went wide. They cringed, as well as a head could cringe. Then the tag showed itself to be just a piece of paper with the words, "Game Over," written on it. Kyuubi gave a sadistic grin that sent a shiver down Anko's spine. I could have done much worse. Naruto was laughing his butt off. Every time his 3 opponents took 2 steps, they tripped on their own feet. What is going on? We're Junin, Kakashi yelled. Guy decided to throw in his own 2 cents. It is the youthful Naruto, his bright flames of youth blind our feet. Shut up, you annoying, spandex wearing. The Chunin mumbled, fed up with sping. Okay, that's enough of that. Naruto told them, I'll make it easier for you, I'll come closer. The Chunin's blood boiled on hearing that. Shut up. The Chunin charged Naruto, kunai in hand. Unbeknown to the Chunin, his kunai had a weak spot, a hair's width wide. One would have to be ridiculously lucky to find it. Well, Naruto just happened to be that lucky. The Chunin's eyes went wide as he saw his kunai split down the middle, cut by Naruto's sword. His shock lasted 3 seconds, because after that he was sent flying from a kick to the chin. Well, that was fun, Naruto said. Now to end this, fear of the forest technique, fear of the fox blade no jutsu. Naruto's sword glowed a brilliant white light. Stage 1, fire. His sword suddenly burst into flame. Naruto took 1 swing. The flame flew from the blade, forming a brilliant arc that flew towards his opponents. Stage 2, water. His sword was suddenly coated with ice. He swung his blade again. The ice melted then refroze, coming at the fighters as icy needles. Stage 3, wind. The blade's aura seemed to grow disturbed, as if the wind around it were the equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane. Stage 4, earth. Suddenly, Kakashi, Guy, and the Chunin found themselves caught to the ground by stone boots. Stage 5. Grass, vines wrapped around their feet, binding them further. Stage 6. Lightning. The sword began to crackle, add that with the cutting power of the wind, and he had a weapon that would cause severe pain and tear them apart. Game over, Naruto said. Kakashi smiled. He was proud to say it, even though he had nothing to do with his abilities, he couldn't help but swell with pride. Naruto was his student. Hinata was in stare down with her 3. Kurenai, her sensei, she have it better than the other 2. Ebisu, the closet pervert teacher, his fighting skills were average, his affinity was water, like hers, so she should expect much of the same attacks, if he got out of her technique, that is. Then the Chunin, he would be unaffected by her technique, but then she could use the Kyuubi on him, that would be something, testing the taijutsu on a Hyuga. Magen, Jubaku Satsu. Kurenai thought she might as well try her favored genjutsu. As expected, her eyes quickly dispelled the jutsu. Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu. Ebisu yelled. A giant water dragon flew towards Hinata, thinking quickly Hinata flew through a series of hand signs on her own. Suten, Suijin Heki. A wall of water flew up, stopping the dragon in its tracks. Then Hinata began more hand signs. Fear of the forest technique, fear of the moon eyes no jutsu. Ebisu began to charge, then he saw her eyes. Black like the new moon. Kurenai saw it too. A shur of white grew at the left edge of her eyes, the shur grew until her eyes were pure white, the full moon. Then a black shur grew, and slowly covered her eyes like the white had. Waxing and waning, her eyes flowed through the stages of the moon. Slowly her eyes grew, nothing existed but those eyes. Months passed. And then years, then decades, finally, 10,000 years had passed. Only those eyes were there. Finally one word echoed in the darkness. Gotcha. Kurenai and Ebisu suddenly found themselves tied to a tree. Their arms were separated so any rope jutsu would be impossible. That only leaves you, Hinata said as she turned to the Chunin. He looked up at her and activated his Byakugan. Hinata didn't bother, she simply slipped into the Kyuubi stance. The Hyugas slowly began to approach, then Hinata threw a punch, with enough chakra pumped into it to render the Chunin's arm useless. With the Byakugan, however, the Chunin saw the chakra as it came at him, he quickly dodged the punch and rolled backwards, putting space between the two of them. An idea struck Hinata. You know, I've wanted to try this new jutsu, and I think you'd be a perfect test subject. Shugo Haika Rokujuyan show. The Chunin suddenly found himself dodging thousands upon thousands of beams of chakra. Suddenly his arm was hit by one, ahhh. He felt like his arm had been sped open. A glance at his shoulder proved it had been. Another one hit his leg. Ahhh. Finally, Hinata stopped firing. She took one look at the wounded Chunin, and fired one single shot, at his chest. Luckily for the Chunin, it was much weaker than the first ones. He passed out. Hinata walked over and began to look over the wounds her jutsu caused. The damage was good, that meant she didn't need to add any more chakra, but the amount of times she had hit, or rather, the lack of times annoyed her. She made a mental note to speed up the overall jutsu. Finally she stood, and looked over to Tsunade. You may want to attend to him. Tsunade finished healing the poor Hyuga Chunin, and looked over at the others. They were okay, despite being unable to move due to circumstances. They were beat bad. There was nothing they could do. She looked over to the Naruto and his friends. She had to honor her agreement. Okay, so you win, what are you going to call your new team? Naruto looked to Kyuubi, sending him a name idea via mental connection. He nodded. Naruto looked over to Hinata, she shrugged while tilting her head to side, whatever you want. Her body language said. Naruto nodded then said, we'll call it, Team Fox. X. Naruto had to hand it to them. His parents knew how to live. The mansion, well actually, mansion, seems a little small when compared to the giant building they found before them. The one building took half of the Hyuga compound. It had 3 stories and a basement, each one with bathrooms all over the place, probably due to the large size of the house. It had a dojo, and artificial hot springs, a medium-sized indoor lake, a bowling alley, and a library filled to the brink with scroll-on jutsus. Naruto rubbed his hands in anticipation, he couldn't wait to start. There were 6 different bedrooms on the first floor, 9 on the second floor, and 1 on the third. This happened to be the master bedroom. Naruto reminded himself to ask Hinata on what she thought about sleeping arrangements. Finally, there was the kitchen. It was big. It was large enough that it took more than 10 seconds to cross it. When Naruto opened one of the cabinets, he nearly cried. It was a recipe for ramen. Hinata, after being asked what she thought, felt that it was best for them to sleep in separate rooms, no need to ruin their wedding night just because one or both of them was a little amped up. So they took 2 adjacent rooms on the second floor. After they had gotten settled in, a messenger from the Hokage came by. He dropped off Hinata's new Chunin vest, and Naruto was told that, after he had at least a year's worth of experience, would he be appointed Junin. Naruto nodded and asked if there was anything else. The messenger nodded and said they would have a week off before their team had their first mission. Naruto told the messenger to thank Tsunade for him and closed the door behind him. Naruto walked into the large living room. It had a huge fireplace off to the side, had 2 couches, and a large recliner. To think this is just the one house, Naruto said as he sat down next to his fiancée. We don't even know what there is in the rest of the compound. I know, Hinata said, it's like the whole compound in one house. I'm surprised there isn't a grocery store next to my room. There are grocery stores in compounds, Naruto asked. Only when those of inferior blood open them, but still, that's the one thing that's missing. Ah, well, that leaves one question. What do you want to do this week? Well, I know something I'd like to do. What? Sit here in your arms, Hinata said as she wrapped his arms around her waist. I like that idea, Naruto said. Naruto slowly leaned forward and kissed his beautiful angel. Someone coughed behind them. Sorry to ruin the moment, Kyuubi said, but I have to bring up a very important issue. Which issue would that be? Naruto asked. Survival through sustenance. Any and all food your parents left has been expired for the last, I don't know, 16 years. And don't even get me started on the refrigerator's current state, not to mention the milk. You know what, Kyuubi? You make an excellent point. So I'm going to the market and get some fresh food. Hinata, would you like to come with me? Kyuubi didn't catch the wink he gave to his girlfriend. Yes, Hinata said, yes I would. But that leaves a question. And what question is that? Who is going to make room for the new food? And get rid of the old food? Kyuubi stated to see where this was going. I don't know, because if I'm going to the market, and you're going to the market, we both can't do it. You guys are evil. You know that, Kyuubi said before they finished their rhetorical questions. Come on, Hinata, we better go before he starts arguing. Like I can argue with the person that decides whether or not I can sit outside and breath. Kyuubi asked to himself, annoyed. He heard the door to the house close. He sighed and walked over to the fridge. He cautiously opened the door. Suddenly the pungent odor of out-of-date ramen, spoiled milk, rotten vegetables, and moldy fruits filled his sensitive nostrils. Oh, what SD in here? His eyes suddenly caught sight of a mouse that had unfortunately crawled in there. He was dry heaving it. Here I am, the most powerful of the Biju, cleaning out a refrigerator. The kid was going to pay for this one. Hinata was walking along with her boyfriend, who was carrying a ceiling scroll to fit all of the groceries into. So far she had bought several different foods, including the essentials for ramen, and cinnamon rolls. She was just about to get some canned food when she bumped into a young man with black hair. Ah, Gamen, Hinata said. The man turned. No, it was my foul, Hinata. Suddenly it clicked in her head, Neji. Hinata. Neji. What is it, Hinata? Naruto asked. Naruto. Neji. Hinata. Neji. Naruto. Hinata. Naruto. Neji. If anyone had walked by they would have been just as confused as the three of them were. Okay, let's stop that, my head is starting to hurt. Naruto said. Wow, Neji started, Hinata-sama. Wow, you look, he paused. Neji didn't pause because couldn't find a word to describe her. He had paused because he couldn't use any of those words in front of her boyfriend. Absolutely amazing. That was good, and he wisely decided to leave it at that. Hey Neji, a female voice called out from inside a store, are you coming in here or what, Hinata? Here we go again, Naruto thought. Hey Tenten, Hinata said, it's been what 4 years? Tenten didn't say a word. She did, however, faint. So that's what it's like on the other end of it. Neji scooted over to Naruto. You better get Hinata out of here, before Tenten wakes up, otherwise you'll be stuck here for at least 3 hours. He whispered. Naruto nodded. Hey, honey, we better get going. But what about Tenten? I'll take care of her, don't worry about a thing. Neji said. Well, okay, just make sure she calls me. I will, it's good to have you back, the both of you. Oh, and if I were you, Naruto, I'd stay away from any of the Hyuga elders, except Hiashi. Why? Naruto asked. They aren't too happy about the favor you did for me. Well, they'll just have to get used to it. 'Cause I don't plan on slowing down. During Naruto's and Hinata's venture they had a couple of more run-ins, namely Team 10, Team 8, and Sakura. Hinata, being much more spontaneous than she previously was, decided to throw a slumber party, and invite all of the girls. Naruto decided it was okay, as long as they didn't destroy anything, or go streaking. So Hinata began telling the girls to come over that night, and bring their sleeping bags. When they got home, they noticed that Kyuubi was now standing next to a brand new, 2-door refrigerator. Trust me, getting a new one was a much better idea. He said. So where's the old one? Naruto asked. Kyuubi thought about telling Naruto about how he took the fridge and used the Kaiten, Karu Enden no Jutsu on it, leaving nothing but ash, but decided against it. It's at the dump. Fine. Now, let's get these groceries put away. Immediately, the three of them went through a series of hand signs. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 6 Hinata clones, 9 Naruto clones, until we've Kyuubi clones puffed into existence. Okay, Q, you and your clones fill the fridge. Hinata, take the pantry. I'll take of the non-food objects. Ready, go. Suddenly the scroll that held all of the groceries exploded, not a flaming explosion, but rather it launched everything it held into the air. White, blue, and red blurs jumped into the air, grabbing miscellaneous items, anything from clothes to food. Suddenly all of the blurs jumped to other separate parts of the house, accurately putting each item in its proper place. Suddenly each blur jumped back into the kitchen, followed by a puff of smoke as all of the clones dispersed. What would we do without shadow clones? 10 p.m. rolled by, and Hinata's party room had almost all of its guests. Ino was over by the window, enjoying her time as she brushed Hinata's long midnight hair. Sakura sat nearby, looking through a magazine. Finally, a knock was heard at the door. Yes, who is it? Hinata asked. Your favorite weapons expert, Tenten said from the other side. Come on in, Ino said. Hi guys, what's going on? Not much, but things are going to start up now that you're here. Oh good, I didn't miss anything. Tenten came in and sat down. So what should we talk about? Hinata asked. Well, let's talk about you guys. Ino said. Which guys? You guys, you and Naruto. Ino said. Yeah, I mean you were lucky, you got the Namikaze heir, that's got to be luck. Not to mention he's hotter than Sasuke. Sakura said. Ino looked at her as if she had committed blasphemy. Well, he is. I've been with Sasuke for the last 4 years, Naruto's hotter. A knock sounded at the door. Who is it? Hinata asked. Here's a hint, I have 2 tails, I'm a fox, and my name's Torotika. I'm not good at making names like those, a female voice said behind the door. Okay, come on in. The door slid open, revealing a waist-high fox, dressed in a beautiful kimono. So why are you here? Naruto-sama wants to know if you guys would be okay if he took a long walk. Yeah, I think we can handle anything that comes our way. Very well, Hinata-sama, I'll go tell Naruto-sama. Oh, one more thing, why did Naruto send you instead of coming himself? Torotika giggled. He didn't want any of you to attack him because he saw you in your underwear. Well, I'm going to go. Enjoy your night. The small fox left. She's such a sweet girl. Hinata mumbled to herself. Sakura stood up, a confused expression on her face. Who was that Hinata? Oh, that was Torotika, one our fox summons. Fox summons. Yeah, Kyuubi gave us a summoning contract with foxes. Huh? Tenten asked. Hinata sighed, we really need to catch up. Naruto was walking along the near-abandoned streets, his only company being the fox in his head. You're way too thoughtful, Kyuubi complained. How so? You could have seen the hottest babes in all of Konoha, in nothing but their nightgowns, or less maybe. And you could have blamed it on not thinking. But no, you pass it up. The only one down there I really want to see is Hinata, and I promised myself I wouldn't until our wedding night, so shut up. Fine, fine. Hey, do you smell that? Yeah, it smells like. Naruto stopped, in the middle of the road, sniffing at regular intervals. Finally it hit him. A smile grew on his face. Hey there Sasuke, it's been a while. A figure appeared from the shadows, a deep scowl painted on his face, and the Sharingan spinning in his eyes. I heard you were back, Dobe. So you do remember me. I want to fight. No surprise there. I want to fight you and only you, leave Kyuubi out of it. What makes you so sure I can do that? Sakura told me about how Kyuubi ked Orochimaru. I don't want to fight him. I want to fight you, and I want to beat you. Okay then. Naruto went through the hand signs for the improved version of the servant's freedom no jutsu, freedom of a trusted servant no jutsu. Kyuubi faded into view, and then he walked away, back toward the Namika's mansion. Well, what are you waiting for? Sasuke didn't need any more encouragement. He charged the blonde boy, who stood there impassively. He was almost on top of him. He dodged. Sasuke only saw him because of the Sharingan. Oh, so close, why don't you try again? Naruto said as he stood behind the Uchiha. Sasuke tried again, this time, leaving his arms out for a tackle. Naruto stood absolutely still, and then at the last possible second, he disappeared, over Sasuke's head. Man, you just don't seem to get it, you're supposed to hit me. Shut up, Sasuke said as he pulled out a kunai. Careful, don't poke your eye out. Shut up. Sasuke threw the kunai straight into Naruto's face. Naruto responded by catching the flying object with his teeth. Then using his tongue, Naruto flipped it, and then launched it at the Uchiha, using his mouth. It came at him surprisingly fast, and Sasuke found that if he didn't dodge that, it could be painful. So that's it? Naruto asked. I thought for sure you could do better. Sasuke felt something warm creep up on his end. He forced it down. No, not yet, wait for it. Sasuke knelt down, and held onto his wrist. Chindori. So Kakashi taught you that, did he? Normally I'd think you were getting special attention. Oh, wait, you were. Naruto said as his palm began to hold a massive amount of chakra. Sasuke charged, Chindori forward, but he did not expect what the blonde did next. Rasengan. Naruto forced the spiraling sphere forward, directly into the ball of lightning. Sasuke went flying as soon as the two jutsus met. Sasuke slowly got back on his 2 feet, and then he looked over to his opponent, expecting the blonde to be recovering also. Reality was not what he was expecting. Naruto stood, a smile on his face, he had not moved an inch. Then something happened that Sasuke thought for sure was just a rumor. Naruto disappeared. Sasuke was looking everywhere, he had to find the blonde, there was no way he could fight an invisible enemy. How right he was. Suddenly, Sasuke went flying forward. And he landed in a heap of trash. Now you see that's how you do it. Naruto said when he became visible again. The warmth began to spread again, and this time, Sasuke let it. He could feel the power slowly overtake him, he felt the extra chakra being added to his reserves. Here's something I saved just for you, Naruto. Black flame marks slowly covered his body, but then it went further, the marks turned his whole body black, and 2 huge hands forced their way out of his back. Sasuke had awoken his curse mark to the 2nd level. Naruto looked at the new, winged Sasuke, and said, you look as ugly as a modern art masterpiece. It doesn't matter, because you are going to S. Sasuke said as his Chindori started. It then flared a dark-colored chakra, giving it a powerful and evil look. Sasuke charged the boy Chindori forward. Then something happened. Naruto sidestepped, but he held his hand out. As Sasuke's wrist flew to where Naruto was a second ago, it was grabbed by Naruto's opened hand. Suddenly, Sasuke was flipped around, and he felt his own Chindori being forced onto his shoulder, but more importantly, his seal. The power slowly fell away, and his marks receded back into the seal. Then Naruto lifted his hand, and it started glowing red. He then placed his hand on the seal. Sasuke Uchiha, from this day forward, I, Naruto Namikaze, will CSPLE your hatred. Sasuke suddenly had a flood of memories, Everything he had done, every time he had coldly ignored each and every one of the girls, every time he had been arrogant, prideful, and cold. Every hurtful comment, everything he had ever said or done. Suddenly Sasuke found himself standing in a spotlight, surrounded by darkness, and in front of him stood an old man, and a young man. The old man stood, leaning on an ebony cane, his long white beard almost impossible to find among his long white hair. His face had many deep wrinkles from where 1,000 smiles had sat. The young man had a torn shirt, thousands of cuts on his body, he was in need of a shave, and a medic nin. Then it hit him, both of these men were him. Wah! The old one lifted his hand. I am the Sasuke that could be. The one in desperate need of a razor scowled and said, I am the Sasuke that will be, if you keep living like you are. Then a voice behind the current Sasuke said, one SS a grandfather of 30, the other SS alone, in a ditch, at the age of 17. Sasuke turned and he saw Naruto, and his future counterpart, the Rokudaime Hokage. One fights to protect those who are precious to him. The other fights with hatred for his brother. I'll let you choose which future you want, and then he will tell you what he fights for. Naruto faded away, leaving his Hokage counterpart. The aged Naruto looked at the current Sasuke and he said in a mellow voice, choose wisely, dear boy. One fate can change another, and then another. I will not say to give up on your ambition, but do not let it ruin your life, it is too much of a precious thing to waste. Then Naruto faded from view. Sasuke looked at his counterparts. The younger one had a wild look in his eyes, the older one had a kinder, understanding look. Sasuke stared at him, you, the older one, who do fight for? He was confident in his answer. After all, fighting for someone else could only increase his chances of S. But what came out of his mouth truly surprised him. I fight to protect those whom I find precious. Hatred was not the same kind of motivation like protecting those precious to me was. What about you? Sasuke asked his other self. I used hatred. I ked Itachi. It may have ked me, but I did it. I won. I did it. Ha ha. Sasuke looked at the younger one like he was crazy. Then it hit him, he is crazy. Suddenly Sasuke found himself back in the street. Naruto stood there, the curse mark floating in his open hand, a questioning look on his face. So have you decided? I think I have. And I think Itachi can wait. Well then, I'm glad to meet the new Sasuke. Naruto said as the curse mate disintegrated to dust. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.